Yaffee program on WVNN.
Are y'all scared? Y'all terrified? Y'all, the government is going to shut down over the weekend, it looks like. So, okay, here we are again. Now it looks like it won't be like the last time where, how long did it last? It was like the longest in history. Now, despite all of that, apparently this is in response to what ICE has been up to in Minneapolis, which is kind of amazing to me. Because remember, the previous government shutdown was over healthcare and Obamacare subsidies, and the end of the world was coming because the increased subsidies were going away. Did the end of the world happen? Notice how there hasn't been a lot of talk about that. You'd think if it really was the end of the world, Democrats would still be bringing that up, but you haven't really heard a lot of that. So they just found a different subject to do when it came to a government shutdown. Maybe this is just about the midterms. That's what it sounds like to me. But we'll talk more about this and some really, I guess, irresponsible. That's kind of a nice way of putting it. But irresponsible comments from Congresswoman Terry Sewell out of the Birmingham area here in Alabama. So we'll talk about that and much more. You are listening to the Yaffee program. This is the show where you can count on the latest news, the important guests, and the best analysis, all for your morning commute here on News Talk 770 AM 92.5 FM WVNN. I want to give you the latest details on the government shutdown. Also coming up, we'll have the Alabama bullet points. At the bottom of the hour, we'll speak with Brad Presnall, who is a political consultant. Later on in the hour, I guess we'll talk about how late night TV is just gotten even crazier. It's gotten even they have given up on real comedy. They've completely given up on it. So we'll play some cuts, and it's all about the ICE stuff. In the next hour, we'll speak with the legendary Will Hampson. He is the official DC insider of the show. And Walker is here producing. Once again, she's going to do What's Trending later on. Walker, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Bugsy has some beautiful toast for me.
So she sent me a picture of that. I guess Smoothie King came in and gave them toast. I didn't know that was a thing. Smoothie King?
I also didn't know.
So, okay. It has like oatmeal on it, strawberries.
Granola, strawberries, blueberries, and what I assume is Nutella.
Oh, there you go. Well, let me know if it's good because I know that they have a deal. Smoothie King has a deal on our website, WVNN.com, for our sweet deals of the week. So check that out. So maybe for What's Trending. That'll be one of the things that's trending, your review of the of the toast. No?
Okay, sure.
No, I'll ask you later on in the show.
Okay.
By the way, were you able to get the audio up?
Yes.
All right, so we'll get to that in a moment. I want to read the latest here because there is another snag apparently when it comes to a potential government shutdown. According to The Hill here, it says Senate shutdown deal stalls over Lindsey Graham objection. So the Senate's race to avert a shutdown hit the skids late Thursday, according to The Hill here, as Senator Lindsey Graham placed a hold on the government funding package, forcing leaders to punt the vote. Now, senators had been hoping to vote on the minibus after leaders struck a deal earlier in the day and President Trump endorsed it. Under the agreement, the Senate was set to vote on a package of a full 5-year funding bills and a stopgap measure funding for the Department of Homeland Security. So 5 full year spending bills is what I meant to say. And basically, they split up the Department of Homeland Security part. They're going to negotiate on that later, and that's because Democrats wanted to vote against it because they're very, very upset that ICE is, doing its job. Now, President Trump commented on this a couple of times yesterday. I grabbed both cuts here. So go ahead and play the Trump cut for me, Walker.
We've gotten along very well. We're working on trying to get it to stay open, and we'll see what happens. It's in the process. Hopefully we won't have a shutdown. We're working on that right now. I think we're getting close. The Democrats, I don't believe, want to see it either. So we'll work in a very bipartisan way. I believe not to have a shutdown. We don't want a shutdown.
So Speaker of the House Mike Johnson pointed out, though, that a lot of the lawmakers have already left. So he's going to try to get them back. This is why there's probably going to be a shutdown over the weekend because the House, anyway, they're not in session. They're going to have to rush back. And, of course, there's a winter storm. They're hoping to get it done by Monday. But go and play the Mike Johnson cut I sent you.
It may not be possible. We have a rule of a 72-hour notice for a return, and I can try to truncate that, but I've got people literally spread around the world right now. So, and we have a snowstorm. We've got some logistical challenges, but we'll do it as quickly as we can and get everybody back. And if there is a short-term shutdown, I think we'll get it reopened quickly. What I expect this package includes is they'll separate 5 of the appropriations bills from the Department of Homeland Security bill. That will be on a continuing resolution for some time period, and in that time period we'll have to figure out that piece of legislation. But I'll say that if we get 11 of the 12 bills done by Monday, we will have funded 96% of the government spending for a year, and that's a big achievement and something we're all proud of. I mean, look, the body cameras is something that everybody embraces. We funded it in the current version of the Department of Homeland Security bill. We have $20 million for more body cams. The masking is to protect law enforcement. They're being doxxed and attacked and followed around.
Well, of course, that's what masking is for. So I guess Democrats are saying they don't want ICE agents to be masked, and they're calling for them to have body cameras. Like that matters. I mean, we've already seen all of this footage on camera as of now, and yet many of those on the radical left refuse to believe their own eyes. So unfortunately, body cameras doesn't help as much as it should. But I do think body cameras are a good idea. Now, Hakeem Jeffries also weighed in on this. Go and play. He's the House Minority Leader. Go and play the Hakeem Jeffries cut.
Taxpayer dollars should not be used to brutalize or kill American citizens or to violently target law-abiding immigrant families. We believe that there should be a prohibition on ICE deporting or detaining American citizens. We believe that ICE should conduct itself like every other law enforcement agency in the country.
I mean, they already do. I mean, every other law enforcement detains American citizens, right? But it's a straw man. It's all complete distraction nonsense. This idea that ICE is out there just rounding up American citizens, detaining them, deporting them, it's not true. It doesn't mean mistakes haven't happened, but that's not what's going on here. It's about illegal immigration, and the Democrats don't want to admit it, but they are unhappy about deporting illegal immigrants. They believe that some illegal immigrants should be allowed to stay. Why? Because it helps them electorally. And Republicans, many Republicans, had believed that for years as well, because it helps big business. They want the cheap labor. So this is what started the problem, and Trump comes in and says, we're going to enforce the law. And they have to step up the efforts because the border was basically wide open under the Biden administration. And, of course, people are getting upset about this. Now, according to The Hill, it says that as lawmakers awaited word on a vote late Thursday, a fired-up Lindsey Graham emerged from the Senate Majority Leader John Thune's office and declared, "We're not voting tonight." Graham pointed to language in the bill that would repeal a provision allowing senators to sue if their phone records were collected as part of a former special counsel Jack Smith's probe. Graham said, "What senator wouldn't want notification that they're looking at your phone?" But of course, Democrats wanted to repeal that. He says, "I fixed the problem that people had. I'm not going to ignore what happened. If you were abused, you think you were abused, your phone records were illegally seized, you should have your day in court," Graham said. "Every senator should want to make sure this never happens again." It is amazing how many wrenches are being thrown into this process. So we had the previous government shutdown. We extended till now. They agree on most of it, but Democrats are going crazy over ICE. Then you have the other wrench where most of Congress isn't even there, at least in the House. And now we have another wrench where Lindsey Graham wants to vote against this because of this provision allowing senators to sue if their phone records were seized. Now, The Hill also says the Arctic Frost provision, championed by Graham, passed as part of the bill to end the historic government shutdown last year and prompted anger in the House. The provision did not apply to House members. The lower chamber stuck in the repeal item in the DHS funding bill, and it is slated to remain in the 2-week continuing resolution to keep the department's lights on until February 13th. The The South Carolina Republican also signaled he had an issue with the lack of full-year Homeland Security funds. He said, the cops need us right now. They're being demonized. They're being spat upon. They can't sleep at night. Now, Senator Chuck Schumer, the minority leader, laid blame for the delay at Graham's feet, said Republicans need to get their act together. He told reporters as he departed the Capitol for the night, declining to say whether Democrats have had any holds on the bill as well. So that's the latest that's going on in Congress on this. The other breaking news that I forgot to mention, but kind of a big deal, is Don Lemon has been arrested. Apparently he was there to cover the Grammys, and they found him at a hotel and they arrested him. And that's because of what he did, helping storm a church in Minneapolis to protest ICE, which is against the FACE Act. The problem here, and I'll have to talk with a legal expert on this in the future, I wonder if he's going to be able to create enough reasonable doubt to get away with this, because he can claim to be a journalist. The other activists there are not going to be able to do that. But knowing Don Lemon, he'll be able to afford some pretty good lawyers. Now, he'll still be stuck in court. He'll still have to go through the legal process. It will still be a burden to him. But, you know, there were journalists who covered January 6th. I know one worked for The Blaze, and he was there basically covering it as the other rioters were there. And he was arrested under the Department of Justice under Biden. So if you're going to start that game, you're going to start the precedent of arresting journalists in that situation, what did you expect, Don Lemon? You didn't think it would come back to bite you? Plus, there is evidence that, I mean, he wasn't just randomly there covering a story. He basically worked it out with the agitators, the rioters, to show up and be there with them. But we'll see. Like I said, the beyond the reasonable doubt, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to prove in court than maybe some of the other stories. But I'm curious what you think. You can weigh in on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866. Will Don Lemon get away with it? Are you happy at least he was arrested? You can tell me in the Yaffee text line, 866-494-WVNN. That is brought to you by RegeneSysTemCell.com. All right, we're going to move on to Alabama news next with the bullet points, and then Brad Presnell will talk more about that at the bottom of the hour. This is the Yaffee Program.
It's the Yaffee Program on WVNN.
Welcome back to the Yaffee Program. News Talk 770 AM 92.5 FM WVNN. Somebody sent me a message and basically said they believe that the Democrats want a government shutdown, finding an excuse to do it because a shutdown can hurt the economy. The economy is going to be the number one issue in the midterms, so that's why they're pushing hard on this. They'll find any excuse to have a shutdown, which is kind of what I was saying. They wanted an excuse to do this to hurt Trump and Republicans for the midterms. So before it was healthcare, now they're saying it's ICE. If it wasn't ICE, it would be something else, it seems like. I think it's a good possibility. So even though they're saying things will open up on Monday, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Right now, though, we got to get to the Alabama headlines. Once again, we have those Alabama bullet points.
Alabama bullet points. Today's headlines from around the Yellowhammer State.
Brought to you by Larry's Pistol and Pawn. Tell you more about them in a moment. Number 4 today, according to Governor Kay Ivey, Alabama prisons need nearly $900 million in the state budget. So Governor Kay Ivey's administration has recommended allocating about $868 million from Alabama's general fund budget to the Alabama Department of Corrections for the upcoming fiscal year. Now, this near $900 million figure would represent roughly half of the state's general fund alongside Medicaid. This contributes a sharp upward trend in prison funding, which rose from about $550 million in 2021 to nearly $800 million by 2025. Now, this is driven primarily by severe staffing shortages and obligations from the long-running Bragg federal lawsuit over inadequate mental health and medical care due to insufficient correctional officers. So this continues to be a problem in the state. Number 3 today, as you know, John Wallace running for lieutenant governor faced some strong criticism from Wes Allen, who's also running for the seat. And he's pushing back, saying that Wes Allen's ad claiming that John Wall used a fake homemade voter ID is disingenuous. So in the context of Alabama's 2026 Republican primary race for lieutenant governor, Secretary of State Wes Allen attacked opponent John Wall. He also called him Nehemiah Wall. Now, Wall's the former Alabama Republican Party chairman. Wall admitted that he had to use a different ID, but he says it wasn't a homemade fake ID or something. It was a legit ID that he got from the state auditor, and that a probate judge actually approved it when he was voting. So he called Allen's ad deceptive and disingenuous. So he's saying there is no voter fraud here. It's been misrepresented by his critics, and he doesn't think it's going to hurt him in this campaign. Number 2 today, Terry Sewell, who's a congresswoman out of Birmingham, claims that rogue actions of ICE agents are causing problems. Says Minneapolis today could be Birmingham tomorrow. I'm going to play the audio of her. By the way, she posted this long video on her X page, and I want to play some of that because it's just why they have to go down this road is crazy to me. The U.S. Representative Terry Sewell sharply criticized the Department of Homeland Security and ICE in response to the fatal shootings of 2 U.S. citizens, Alex Preddy and Renee Good, by ICE agents and Border Patrol agents in Minneapolis. Now, in a video posted on X, Sewell described the killing as unjustified and accused DHS Secretary Kristi Noem and Vice President J.D. Vance and other Trump administration officials of engaging in a cover-up and telling blatant lies to justify what she called the rogue actions of ICE agents. So she's been talking about shutting down the government over this too. So I'll talk more about this later in the show. And speaking of that potential government shutdown, number 1 today, U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville votes no on advancing the spending bill as the shutdown looms. That's right, Tuberville is also running for governor, joined 6 other Republican senators in voting against a procedural motion to advance a multi-bill spending package intended to avert a government shutdown past the Friday deadline. Tuberville opposed the measure, arguing it would pave the way for Democrats to impose woke reforms on immigration and customs enforcement operations and reduce funding for the Department of Homeland Security, which he said undermined law enforcement and deportation efforts, especially unreasonable given Republican control of the White House, Senate, and House. Now, the vote failed with Democrats unanimously opposing and 7 Republicans providing key no votes, heightening shutdown risks. However, afterwards, Senate Republicans and Democrats reached a bipartisan agreement to separately fund DHS for an additional 2 weeks, allowing time to advance the remaining 5-year fiscal year 2026 appropriation bills and prevent a full shutdown. So I'm curious what Brad Presnell, political consultant, thinks of this. We have the other issue that Lindsey Graham is throwing into this, where senators might be able to sue because they were spied on by that Arctic frost investigation. Democrats still want to defund ICE. They want an excuse for a government shutdown because they want it to be blamed on President Trump. But Trump says that looks like they've made a deal. The House is going to come back in session, and hopefully it doesn't last too long. I mean, the government's basically shut down every weekend anyway. So if they can get it open by Monday, that would be fine. But we'll have to see what's going on there. By the way, one thing you have to see are the great deals at Larry's Pistol and Pawn. If you're looking for some amazing deals as you shop for your loved one for Valentine's Day, yes, Larry's Pistol and Pawn is the place to do it. So go to Larry's Pistol and Pawn. If you're looking for the best in jewelry, they have a lot to sell you. I bought my wife diamond earrings there once for Christmas. My mom got a ring there. It was really nice. They actually resized it for her, and it's great. She got it for a great price. My mother-in-law bought earrings there. I know I had several coworkers buy stuff there as well. But when you pass by, a lot of people shop there. The parking lot is always full. And it's a huge facility, which means they can sell you a lot of different stuff. So go to Larry's Pistol and Pawn in Madison off Greenbrier Exit 3. It's next to the big rusty water tower. There's another location in Huntsville off North Memorial Parkway. And you can find out the latest deals at pistolandpawn.com. They have special financing options for you. You can put stuff on a layaway, which not every pawn shop or every jewelry store is going to offer you something like that to put it on layaway. So that's pretty amazing. That can help you out. But you're also going to save some money anyway and see some great customer service. They have great customer service there. Go to Larry's Pistol and Pawn today. And when you do, let them know Yaffee was the one who sent you. So Brad Presnell is going to join me next. The legendary Will Hampson, the official DC insider of the show, he's going to join me at the top of the next hour. You're listening to the Yaffee program. Stay with us.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
It's back. Hey, it's Dan Bongino. I've got some big news for you. Starting February 2nd, the show is back. That's right. The Dan Bongino Show is relaunching, and we're going bigger than ever. Join me live on Rumble.com Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern. We'll cover the stories that matter, cut through all the garbage, and get to the truth. Can't catch it live? No problem. Grab the audio wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, February 2nd, the return to the Dan Bongino Show. Don't miss it.
Welcome back to the Yaffee program. Yes, I am Alabama's truth czar. This is Huntsville's disinformation board, and you need me lately. Everything going on in the news, you need me. You need me to be that for you. Joining me on the show right now to help me in that effort is Brad Presnell. He is a political consultant, does work for Senator Tommy Tuberville, who's running for governor, also for the AEA and others. Brad, how are you today, sir?
Good morning, Yaffee. Doing well. And let me talk about Don Lemon before we sign off this morning. Let's get him in because I want to comment on that.
Okay, yeah, he was arrested. That's a breaking news as of last night. He's arrested because he was a part of those agitators, that group that stormed a church in Minneapolis. He's claiming he was just there as a journalist. I am a little concerned that might work in court, but what do you think?
I was so happy, first off, to hear that he was actually arrested. Now, obviously, he's going to use this opportunity to be a martyr, but at least he'll have to sweat a little bit, Yaffee, and spend some money defending himself, and let's see how he likes it. It will be interesting to see, though, how the media plays this, if they defend him or if they back off and ignore it for the most part. I say that because if you remember when he left CNN, he burned a lot of bridges, not only at CNN, but he was throwing other people under the bus from other networks about they said things like he did things and had ratings like him, and they weren't fired. And I think some media members also believe that he did cross the line with the church fiasco. So a side note, it'll be interesting to see how the media comes to his defense, if at all.
Yeah, I'm still expecting Jimmy Kimmel to cry about it. That's
yeah.
That is one thing. You think that's going to happen? Yeah, he seems to cry anytime.
Oh, yeah, Kimmel will, sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. By the way, I know that you also do work for Congressman Dale Strong. Congressman Strong was on with Dale Jackson this morning talking about the potential for a government shutdown. If people missed that interview, the podcast is up on the website, WVNN.com. But what do you think about this whole fight over the government shutdown?
I remember 3 months ago when we had the last government shutdown fight, and, we covered that extensively on your show and Dale's show, talked a lot about it. And I remember when the agreement was met, that week I'd had a conversation with Congressman Strong and Senator Tuberville, and both of them told me, wait till the end of January. We're not out of the woods yet. This whole thing may happen again. And lo and behold, their predictions were correct. I think it's going to be a fight. I know you had Chuck Schumer Senate minority leader who really took a lot of hits from the core of his party, saying that he gave over 3 months ago to the Republicans. And, he took a lot of terrible hits within his own party and AOC is going to run against him for Senate and whatnot. So I think this time around, the concern is that maybe him and Hakeem Jeffries are going to say, no, we're not going to back down a bit. So there's a possibility. I don't know how much, but there's a possibility that this doesn't end well.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because it's on a completely different issue, which to me seems like they're just trying to find an issue to be upset about to do this.
Right.
So I'm speaking with Brad Presnall. We're talking about the midterm elections because that seems to be what the Democrats are focused on, possibly why they're doing this. But we also have a lot of elections coming up here in the state of Alabama, including for lieutenant governor. Now, former Alabama Republican Party Chairman John Wall announced he's running for lieutenant governor. This is after the Trump endorsement also raised $1 million since that Trump endorsement, which is pretty amazing considering it's for lieutenant governor in Alabama. But what do you think about this, Brad?
I agree, Yaffee. This is a huge deal for John Wall. He got the president's, and I would call it a hearty endorsement from President Trump, not just a little one-line endorsement. He got a hearty endorsement. And then you add that with the fact that, again, what you said is correct. He raised $1 million in 24 hours. And if you add those two together, that puts him, in my opinion, instantly as the front runner and overwhelming favorite almost overnight. Obviously, Wes Allen has been the favorite up into this point, and he is stunned, and he should be stunned. I think he probably thought he had this thing in the bag, and bam, we see the Wall wave hit. And I see a residency charge has been filed against John Wall, as well as the whole fake ID thing is rearing its head. So Chairman Wall has taken some hits early on, and I see that he's already responding to those. But if you ask him, he would probably have all those hits come early in the campaign, as opposed to the last few days where he doesn't have time to defend himself and explain.
Okay, so you think it'll be close, or do you think, it just John Wall's ending up going to run away with it?
No, I think it'll be close. Obviously Wes Allen has a lot of supporters, and he's had a lot of good endorsements, and he's campaigned for quite a while, and I think he'll have a good amount of support. But I just think with John getting the president's endorsement, plus his ability to raise money in 24 hours. Now, of course, that 24 hours, if you ask John, and I'm just thinking this is probably what he'd probably say he's not done raising money. That 24-hour, $1 million bomb is just the start. So I see Chairman Wall raising quite a bit more money. And so Secretary Allen's going to have to up his game and raise more money himself because, obviously the money in politics is very important to be able to get your message out. So I think that $1 million really put John Wall up, in my opinion, again, into the front runner status as we sit here on January 30th.
Yeah, $1 million and a Trump endorsement, that'll make you a front runner, I think. In most races, that'll make you a front runner. So we got to look at another race here that got very interesting because Mo Brooks, former congressman, now running for state house, he's running against James Lomax. And the biggest question I've had is because Mo said that he's running because people really wanted him to run. And my question was why? Why did they want him to run against James Lomax? What did Lomax do that was so terrible? Right. I haven't really gotten an answer to that, but what do you think?
I agree. I've asked people, did Mr. Lomax, did he upset anybody, or did he pass a bill or back a bill that upset people? And I've not yet to get a definitive answer at all. And obviously, James Lomax is going to be aggressive in this campaign, as that was very evident in his blistering press release on Congressman Brooks' entry into the state house race. But on the flip side, so far we've seen Mo Brooks attack the way the legislature conducts business, and in turn that hits Speaker Ledbetter, which to me, that's a fight I don't know that I would want to have if I was Congressman Brooks. I think that might be a fight that's unnecessary. But I'm sure in the coming days and weeks, Congressman Brooks will identify why he believes he's a better fit for the district than James Lomax, and both men will make their case to the district.
Yeah, I think you're right that it seems to be about the legislature as a whole, not necessarily about James Lomax. They just really wanted Mo Brooks to be in the legislature to maybe shake things up or change things, and it just happens to be that's the district he lives in.
Right. I think that may be it. But obviously, Mo Brooks running against James Lomax, he's going to have to identify some ways why voters in that district should vote for him over Mr. Lomax, and I think that's probably going to be the key to the whole race.
Yeah, and you mentioned Ledbetter. He really did come out swinging against Mo Brooks, said he's failed at every job he's had, which, I mean, that I don't think that's true. That seemed extra harsh to me.
Well, politics is a harsh business. That's for sure.
Okay.
I can't speak for Speaker Ledbetter, obviously, but he was probably blindsided a little bit with the attack, and it probably upset him a little bit, and he came back pretty hard. So this is going to be interesting, Yaffee, us watching this race for the next few months to see how it plays out.
Well, speaking of elections here in Alabama, we also have Senator Tommy Tuberville running for governor. I mean, pretty much running away with it. He got Trump's endorsement as well, but I mean, that doesn't really matter. He was already going to win, it looks like. But you do have one person filing a complaint against Tuberville's candidacy. Was this also about a residency issue? You had mentioned that with John Wall, and some people are saying Tuberville has a residency issue.
That's what the complaint pretty much is all about. And Yaffee, this is almost the same complaint that was filed in 2019 when Coach was getting in the Senate race. It didn't work back then, and it won't work now. Coach feels good about everything, and this is the same kind of stuff that people tried on Trump. They know that they can't beat Senator Tuberville fair and square at the ballot box, so they're trying everything they can to get him off the ballot. It won't work this time, and this time next year, you and I will be saying hello to Governor Tuberville.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I expected as well. Brad Presnell, political consultant. Anything else that you wanted to bring up today? I mean, you got a lot going on in Minneapolis. In the next segment, I'm going to play some cuts of Terry Sewell, who is voting for the government to shut down, and she's worried that Birmingham could be the next Minneapolis. And I kind of agree with what Dale said earlier. Well, good. Maybe we need more ICE agents in Birmingham. But what do you think?
Well, I agree with Dale and you on this. I think that we're going to see that. We're going to see ICE come to areas of Alabama where we have some issues. And also, to piggyback back and flip back to what Senator Tuberville has said when he becomes governor, he's not going to blink an eye to pull out the National Guard in some of these areas where we have crime in Alabama, where people can't even get up and go to school and to work and to shop without worrying about getting carjacked or a bullet in their head. And I think in that you'll probably, I don't know if ICE will be here at the same time. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? But just imagine if we have ICE in Alabama at the same time we have a Governor Tuberville, it's going to show that Alabama means business about security and keeping our residents safe. And you can ask a lot of people who have been victims of crime. I'm sure you know people personally. I know people personally. And people are fed up with it, Yaffee. And I'm glad now we're going to have a governor and we have a president who is sick of it and is going to actually do something about it.
Yeah, I know he said he wasn't sure if he would send the National Guard, but then he basically said if he has to. And it was more about Montgomery, what Tuberville was talking about. But maybe, yeah, we need it in Birmingham as well. Brad Presnell, political consultant. Really appreciate you coming on the show. As always, my friend, we'll talk to you again next time.
Thank you so much, Yaffee.
All right, if you want to weigh in, react to anything, you can. We have the text line, the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866. One person said this, said, how about the fact that someone from Minnesota tried to bust Mangione out of jail in New York? That was a crazy story. Apparently, he tried to come off as an FBI agent. But when they asked for ID, he just showed them his driver's license or something. Is there something? Maybe the cold just makes people crazy in Minneapolis and Minnesota. Is it just the cold? They say the heat makes people crazy in Florida. Does the cold make people crazy in Minnesota? By the way, on Mangione, there is breaking news on that, which is pretty frustrating, at least to me. According to the Washington Post here, it says Luigi Mangione won't face the death penalty in the case of United Healthcare CEO's killing, a judge decided he will not face the death penalty. Did not meet the legal definition of being a crime of violence. Oh, God. Why do we even have a death penalty? I mean, if this cold-blooded killer who targeted a guy and just assassinated him, if that can't be considered for the death penalty, why do we have it? Which I guess is the point. There are some people who are against the death penalty, so they want to just make so many rules to make it almost impossible to do it, which is just, to me, frustrating. It seems like if we're going to have a death penalty, this is a clear-cut case where we need to use it. Am I wrong on that? So we can talk about that next and much more. You're listening to the Yaffee program. Stay with us.
The Yaffee program.
You know, it's interesting. I just don't understand why Democrats can't be moderate. Why can't a moderate Democrat exist? For some reason, it's just impossible. You know, it's one thing to say you disagree with how ICE is handling things and maybe it's unfortunate and a tragedy. No, they have to go on full board to say ICE is Gestapo or something. Now, I'm not just talking about those in the propaganda press, but normal Democrat politicians from here in Alabama. So Terry Sewell posted a video talking about this whole issue, the death of Alex Preddy and Renee Good. And I wanted to play some of what she said here. She is our congresswoman out of Birmingham. Going to play Terry Sewell cut 1 for me, Walker.
It's taken me a few days to really process what has happened and to verbally express how I feel. We all have been watching the news in horror as federal ICE agents shot and killed 2 U.S. citizens in Minneapolis, Alex Preddy and Renee Good. I am demanding a full and independent investigation into the actions of the Department of Homeland Security, the dangerous conduct of ICE that led to the killings of 2 Americans and the subsequent cover-up and blatant lies that were told by Secretary Noem, Vice President Vance, and other Trump officials to justify the rogue actions of ICE are simply despicable. Every public official and federal agent responsible whose action and inaction led to these unjustified killings must be held accountable. I join with House Democrats to demand that Senate Democrats this week vote no as well. We must be a united front in our efforts to hold Trump and his administration accountable.
So, I mean, I've been pretty critical of what Kristi Noem said in response. There's a reason why Trump's going back to Tom Homan to be in charge of a lot of this. But what did J.D. Vance say that was a lie? He didn't say any lies when he was talking about this. But it gets even worse here from Terry Sewell. Go and play cut 2 of her.
In addition, I've joined over 130 of my colleagues in Congress in sponsoring a petition to impeach Kristi Noem as Secretary of Homeland Security. If we in Congress fail to act in this moment, we become complicit to this madness. Minneapolis today could be Birmingham tomorrow. ICE is out of control and the American people deserve better. Wake up, my people. AG Pam Bondi has spilled the tea. In a letter to Minnesota officials, she cited the surge of ICE and federal agents and then asked for voter files, the voter files of all of Minnesotans who vote. Wake up. This federal takeover of American cities is just another way for Trump to try to steal the midterm elections. We have to wake up. We better vote like our lives depend upon it, because it does.
Seriously, see, she could have just stopped with, we want to make sure there's an investigation. We want to hold Kristi Noem accountable. Fine, whatever. But then to go, Trump is going to use this to steal the election, and we better wake up because our lives depend on it. We need to vote like our lives depend on it because our lives depend on it. No, it doesn't. If you're not interfering with law enforcement, you don't have to worry about law enforcement. If you're not a criminal, or you're not interfering with law enforcement, you don't have to worry about law enforcement. If you're not an illegal alien, you don't have to worry about ICE. What is so difficult about this? And by the way, Pam Bondi wants to look into the voter rolls. That's to make sure illegal immigrants aren't voting. It has nothing to do. They're not going to take away votes from the citizens of Minneapolis and use this to steal the next election. It's completely absurd. But they can't help themselves. As I mentioned, when Trump was first elected, I had wondered, will the Democrats learn their lesson? A lot of them have not. Instead of understanding why Trump won, which had a lot to do with the American people's rejection of the radical left, they've decided to just double down on a lot of this stuff. So we'll see. Maybe it works in the midterms for them. The government shutdown as well. They're trying to do that. Maybe that works in the midterms for them, but I just don't understand. It's one thing it's like those who claim that there's a genocide in Gaza. Why not just criticize how Israel is conducting the war? Just say that. But no, they have to go full bore. Israel should not exist. It's a genocide. And it's like, they just can't help themselves. All right, we're going to talk more about this with the legendary Will Hampson coming up next, right here on the Yaffee program. Stay with us.
It's the Yaffee program on WVNN.
It's back. Hey, it's Dan Bongino. I've got some big news for you. Starting February 2nd, the show is back. That's right. The Dan Bongino Show is relaunching, and we're going bigger than ever. Join me live on Rumble.com Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern. We'll cover the stories that matter, cut through all the garbage, and get to the truth. Can't catch it live? No problem. Grab the audio wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, February 2nd, the return to the Dan Bongino Show. Don't miss it.
The Yaffee program on WVNN.
Welcome back, second hour of the Yaffee program. Right here on News Talk 770 AM 92.5 FM WVNN. You know who I am. You know how the show works. You know how to text in. All that stuff. I don't even know why I have to remind you. You're all diehard fans. You know all of this by heart. But welcome to the show. Joining me on the show right now is the legendary Will Hampson. He's the official DC insider of the show. Will, how are you today, sir?
Yaffee, doing great. Trying to stay warm.
Where are you at right now?
I am in Washington, D.C., where I'm fairly sure it's about a negative billion degrees outside. So take that for what it's worth, but it is cold.
Yeah. I keep saying I was promised global warming. Where is it? I want it.
No,
it's too cold.
I'm with you. Global warming sounds fantastic right now. D.C. also has this really interesting strategy where they decided they're going to touch none of the snow until it melts, and it's not supposed to get above 30 degrees for the next 2 weeks. So we're going to see how this strategy plays out, Yaffee. But as of right now, there are some slight issues here in our nation's capital.
I could imagine. And one of the issues is the potential for a government shutdown. Is that why you're there, to fix it? You're there to stop that from happening, open up the government?
No, I'm here to make it worse, Yaffee.
You like it shut down. Okay. That makes sense. No, really, though, what is going on here? Because it's kind of amazing how many wrenches have been thrown into this process. So you have the wrench by the Democrats. They don't want the ICE funding. Now you have a wrench by Lindsey Graham, who wants senators to be able to sue Jack Smith. You have other stuff going on as well. You have the wrench of the fact that the House isn't there, so they have to get back there to make the vote if the Senate passes it. So, how long does this last, do you think? It looks like there is going to be a shutdown tonight, but does it just last the weekend or what?
Yeah, the big question with the Senate is always how they operate procedurally. Senators have a lot of power to be able to slow this process down if they want. As you've seen with Lindsey Graham, he's decided that if he cannot sue due to Arctic frost, that he's going to slow down the process and put a hold on the deal. Other senators, Rand Paul seems to be on board right now, but we know that he is always inclined to put holds on some of these funding processes. So a lot up in the air right now. I think you're right, Yaffee. I think we're going to at least see a shutdown probably at least over the weekend here as the senators still try and figure things out and get to the point that they can vote. But also interesting to note, unlike the last government shutdown, this would only be a partial shutdown. They have funded about half of the different government agencies. Like the Department of Justice is fully funded at this point, the Interior. So thankfully, you'll still be able to go and visit your national parks over the weekend, even if the government shuts down. So
I was so worried
thank
about
God,
that.
not a complete shutdown here, but a lot is still up in the air, of course.
Okay, good. Get out. I'm sure that's what you want to do when it's 30 degrees outside, right? Go see the national parks.
Negative billion degrees out, Yaffee. Let's not forget. But yes, why not go see the country, see Yellowstone and all the great things that this country has to offer while we do partially shut down.
30 degrees feels like negative quadrillion degrees. Got it. That's quite a wind chill that they have in D.C. All right.
It's something.
Speaking with the legendary Will Hampson, it's interesting because you had the shutdown last year. That was over the extension of the Obamacare subsidies, which did not happen. Yet you don't hear much about it today. If it was going to be such an apocalypse, you would think the Democrats would bring that up again. But no, they decided they're going to move on to something else because it seems like they're just desperate to make something an issue to shut down the government because they believe it's going to hurt Trump and Republicans in the midterms.
Yeah, it's amazing in the age of Donald Trump how quickly the news cycles turn over. What was news? I mean, that felt like just yesterday we were shutting the government down over Obamacare subsidies, and to your point, now it's not even a discussion on the table here. So who knows what the next thing will be? Democrats will latch on to anything that they can. And of course, what we're seeing in Minneapolis and across the country with ICE is going to be their sticking point on this. A lot of Democrats are saying that they won't give more funding to ICE. Some Democrats are saying that they won't fund the Department of Homeland Security unless, stupid things are done, like Stephen Miller gets fired. So they all seem to have their lines in the sand here. But I think it is very and probably rightfully so, right? I mean, if you are a Democrat voter and you see your representatives in Washington giving more funding to ICE while all of this is going on, I could definitely see how this is a tricky situation for them. So they have to decide, are we going to further fund ICE and potentially upset our base, or are we willing to shut down the government again? Neither are popular opinions, but they got to do something here.
Well, it's amazing, too, how you just can't seem to have a moderate Democrat anymore. They have to be beholden to the radical base. The moderate position would be like, yeah, this is unfortunate. We need to make some changes, but we're not going to shut down the government. And no, ICE is not Gestapo. But because the party is so beholden to the base, even those who are saying they're more moderate Democrats, they're saying the leftist nutty stuff when it comes to ICE, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, think of the things that Democrats can't say, right? Like attacking law enforcement is bad and wrong and something you shouldn't do. They're not even able to say that. I mean, we're seeing all of these individuals having obviously very unfortunate encounters with law enforcement, but because they're antagonizing and sometimes even attacking law enforcement in these places like Minneapolis, it's a really sad situation to see when we can't come together and say, look, these people probably should not be being killed, but at the same time, they should not be acting in the way that they are towards law enforcement. You can't do that.
So I call you the official D.C. insider of the show. You're actually in D.C. right now, so I got to expect to have an answer to this. The inside track on this, is Donald Trump upset with Kristi Noem?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you saw the president came out and effectively said after a number of these deaths in Minneapolis that this is tragic. It shouldn't be happening. And we need to reevaluate how we're operating. I think that's a large reason of why he sent in Tom Homan. There is, I think it's pretty well known at this point, that Kristi Noem and Tom Homan have had differing approaches to a lot of this. And so for the president to say we're bringing in a guy with a different approach, I think certainly suggests that he is at least a little critical of the job that Kristi Noem is doing. But again, they've kind of both come out, and so we're looking forward to working together. And hopefully they do a little bit better job than they've been doing.
Well, it's kind of one of those things, too, where the media is going to make a big deal out of that. So there's no way Trump's going to fire her now. He doesn't want to give the media and the Democrats any kind of win here.
Yeah, I mean, it's being reported that there are some lists starting to come out of potential replacements if Kristi Noem were to be removed from her position. So something interesting that I've seen reported by a couple outlets now, some names such as Glenn Youngkin continue to pop up as potential DHS secretary replacements. So who knows where those conversations are at internally, but there is at least some reason to believe amongst some DC reporters that there are at least loose ideas being thrown around for if the president were to move on from Kristi Noem.
So you said Glenn Youngkin. Are you hearing anyone else? Maybe a former DHS secretary, or is it people that have never had the job before?
New people. A name I've heard recently thrown out is Ron DeSantis. Obviously, a lot of hurdles for him to navigate within Trump world. Obviously, does not have a good relationship with the president's chief of staff, Susie Wiles. He fired her, really kind of went after her professionally, and so a lot of hurdles, I think, for Ron DeSantis. He's also been, linked to some other jobs, such as the Department of War. A couple of months ago when Pete Hegseth was on a little bit of thin ice.
Right.
So, who knows how much of that is DeSantis and his team floating him to try and stay relevant. Who knows how much of that there really is there, but certainly some names being floated, particularly right now for that DHS position were it to come open. But of course, again, I mean, we've seen this time and time again, right? I mean, the prevailing wisdom in D.C. Was that, Department of War Secretary Hegseth was on his way out. He wasn't going to survive. Now things seem to be in a pretty good place with him and the president. So these things are obviously constantly evolving, and the palace intrigue does not always meet what's really going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I could see that. Speaking with Will Hampson, what do you think about the fact that Don Lemon was arrested? Seems like he might get away with it still because he's claiming to be a journalist. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the first time Don Lemon has been relevant in a long, long time. I think, frankly, he's probably pretty thrilled that people are talking about him. He'll probably, be able to parlay this into some media appearances and maybe a new contract somewhere. So I would guess that he's pretty thrilled about it. But, I think it's good. I think we need to hold these people accountable. And again, I mean, the left likes to always say that nobody's above the law. It would be nice if Don Lemon could be the first one to prove that.
Well, I remember there was a Blaze journalist who was there on January 6th, and he was kind of there as a reporter. He wasn't really participating in the rioting, but he did go inside the Capitol. They arrested him for that. So, I mean, the Democrats once again Joe Biden once again started this precedent, right?
Oh, absolutely. And again, I mean, this is not the DOJ targeting Don Lemon. He was indicted by a grand jury in Minneapolis. So clearly a group of people saw the evidence against him and thought that there was enough there to move forward with an indictment. So there's certainly something there. Obviously, whether or not the DOJ decides to move forward will be seen. But again, there is, I think, clearly something there. And if he broke the law, he should be held accountable.
The legendary Will Hampson. He's the official D.C. insider of the show. He's in D.C. right now, stuck in the tundra that is D.C. right now with all the snow, apparently. Appreciate you coming on, my friend. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, Yaffee. Stay warm.
I'm trying. All right, back in a moment on the Yaffee program.
You're listening to Yaffee on WVNN.
Welcome back to the Yaffee program. It's a revolution in common sense, as always, here on Newstalk 770 AM 92.5 FM WVNN. You can also weigh in on the Yaffee text line, brought to you by RegeneSysTemCell.com. That number is 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. One person on the text line is upset because I called libertarians isolationists, and he says, no, they're non-interventionists. They say they're non-interventionists, but most of them I talk to are just isolationists. Let's be honest here. All right. I mentioned that with Don Lemon being arrested for what he did in Minneapolis, that Jimmy Kimmel's probably going to cry. I know he won't cry about victims of illegal immigrants, but he'll cry about those who were killed by ICE and probably Don Lemon. You watch. Just to remind you, by the way, this is what Jimmy Kimmel said earlier this week about what's going on in Minneapolis. Play the Jimmy Kimmel cut for me, Walker.
If our leaders are intentionally creating and encouraging violence and fear, then I hope you will also agree we need new leaders, because these are not leaders. And to the people of Minneapolis, to the Preddy family and the Good family, and these people who were looking out for their neighbors, we want you to know that we are with you and you are not alone. And I'll tell you another thing. We also want to see those Epstein files already.
Comedy? That's always my response when I hear stuff like that from Jimmy Kimmel. I'm like, so is that comedy now? I'm not laughing. By the way, talking about Alex Preddy was just trying to protect his neighbors. Oh, yeah, by kicking the back of an ICE car and shattering the taillight and spitting on ICE agents. Oh, he's just there protecting neighbors. Okay. It gets even worse than that, though. I guess we don't call it late night comedy anymore. I don't know what to call it. But Stephen Colbert, who is about to lose his job, I guess. That show's about to end. It's still on right now. But what he said is even worse, I think. Go and play the Colbert cut.
Bavino went on complaining. Look, Dana, they're trying to portray Border Patrol agents and ICE agents as Gestapo, Nazi, and many other words.
Yes, do not compare ICE or Border Patrol agents to the Nazis. That's an unfair comparison. The Nazis were willing to show their faces.
Comedy. ICE, they're worse than Nazis. Are you laughing? I guess one of the things they're calling this now is they're not really wanting laughter, they're wanting clapter. It's more of like virtue signal clapping, where leftist woke nut jobs are clapping because they're so excited. They would prefer that than actual laughter, actual comedy. But seriously, what is so difficult about just saying, look, we disagree with what ICE is doing, but they are still law enforcement? No. They have to go as far as saying they're like Gestapo. Someone texted on the show the other day, said, ICE, they're basically kill squads. And now Stephen Colbert says they're not even as bad as the Nazis, because the Nazis would show their face. So ICE is worse. They're like the KKK. Do people buy into this? I guess they do, because you heard the clapping there. But it would be nice, if they actually did some comedy. Now, I know that show's going away, but there's a part of me that thinks keep doing this. Because I keep mentioning the main reason I believe Trump was reelected is because of the rejection of the radical left. They might not agree with everything Trump does or says, but at least he is not a radical leftist nutjob who wants to radically transform the country and maybe calls ICE agents Nazis. So if you want more and more people to maybe show up for Republicans, keep doing this, I guess. I just think the majority of the American people reject this. I know some of the polls maybe suggest differently, but to me, it seems like they reject some of this nonsense. All right, coming up in the next segment, we are going to have What's Trending. back on today. Walker is going to join us. By the way, Walker, you talked about it at the beginning of the show. You had your piece of toast, I guess, that had Nutella and granola. You got it from Smoothie King. Was it good? Was it?
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Okay. That's it. Just
well, the bread is like just thick enough to balance out all the toppings that they put on it.
okay.
I know sometimes the toppings can kind of overload the bread.
A balanced piece of toast. Okay, I got it. We'll talk more about that when we get back here on the Yaffee program. Stay with us.
The Yaffee program.
Get ready for The Rush with Max Crosby.
If it was going to happen, why not this year?
All-pro defensive end Max Crosby takes you beyond the field with exclusive insights.
I love when people sleep on certain people because you just know they're going to make everyone look stupid.
Moments everyone's talking about.
Hit 5 in a row, brother. We're going to the Pro Bowl again.
Come on, baby! We've been through a lot, and we're just getting rolling.
The Rush.
It's a roller coaster of emotions.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Welcome back to the Yaffee program, Friday edition of the show here on News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Don't forget, if you miss any of the show live, the podcast is up on the website, WVNN.com, or anywhere you get your podcasts. You can also like the Yaffee Facebook page, follow me on X at Yaffee, or Instagram at Yaffee Live. Walker is here once again, so let's get right to it. What's trending with Walker?
Keeping you up to date with all that's trending in your world.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
You guys know how to post videos to Facebook?
It's What's Trending.
And it's sponsored by Coleman Furniture Market because they always have the latest trending in furniture. So if you're looking for living room furniture, you can do what I did, buy your living room furniture there. If you're looking for bedroom furniture, you can do what I did and buy bedroom furniture there. Or any kind of accessories, you can buy it there as well at Coleman Furniture Market, located in the heart of Coleman, Alabama. Now, you can find out more about them on their website, ColemanFurnitureMarket.com, and they're always adding new stuff to the showroom. That's why they always have the latest trending in furniture. So if you want to see some of the latest stuff they got in their inventory, check it out on their Facebook page. If you like their Facebook page or follow them on Instagram, you can kind of see some of what they got. They're always adding great deals as well to their selection. So go to Coleman Furniture Market today. And when you do, let them know Yaffee was the one who sent you. All right, Walker, what's number 5 today?
Number 5 is with all the winter weather that we've been having. Videos have been going around of people making snow ice cream. Is that something that you ever did?
Considering I grew up in Orlando, Florida, and I didn't see snow for the first time until I was much older. No, I've not.
Okay.
No.
So essentially, you just make sure that it's clean snow, but get like a
yeah, that's
big,
true. It's a good idea.
Yeah, you get a big bowl of it. You add heavy cream, vanilla, sugar, and any other mix-ins you want. Just stir it up, and you got snow ice cream.
Okay. Have you ever had that?
Yeah, I did that anytime that it snowed more than, an inch.
Is it good?
I think so.
All right. Okay. I guess I'll have to try it. It hasn't really snowed enough this year to do something like that. Last year would have been the year for me to have tried that, I think. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was probably a teenager the last time I tried to do it.
Okay. All right. What's number 4?
Number 4 is people are going crazy over a picture of Nicki Minaj holding hands with Trump.
Jeez. Why? Well, I know she's come out as kind of a Trump supporter. Why are they holding hands?
I'm not sure. They were just taking a picture together. She did say that she's probably his number 1 fan and that's not going to change. Okay. I thought it was funny to see her 2-inch long nails around his hand, right next to where they put that makeup spot to cover up the aging area.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean on his hand?
Yes.
Yeah, there have been a lot of people, a lot of conspiracy theories out there about that. About something wrong with him because of his hand. I don't know.
I think people are looking too much into it because, I mean, my grandfather has had age spots on his hands for the last 10 years, and he's perfectly fine.
Okay. Well, that sounds
like
yeah, I mean, they're trying to make it
happens.
seem it's because of what happened with Biden. They're trying to like have their own version of the fact that Biden was senile, but Trump might be old, but he's not senile. There's a big difference between old. Yeah, he's a little wacky at times. That doesn't mean he's senile like Biden was, but there you go. All right, what's number 3?
Number 3 is the 5th ever cheese factory location in Friendship Heights, Washington, has closed. It was the first one ever outside of California.
Wait, what is it again? Say the first what?
The first cheesecake factory location outside of
Oh,
California.
the first cheesecake factory location. Why'd it close? That's sad.
I was reading through the article and I couldn't really find why it was closing.
Wonder when it opened. Did it say when it opened? First opened?
It opened 34 years ago.
Okay.
People say that it used to be the area's hottest date spot.
I could see that. Like, if no one had ever been to one before and that's like the first one and it's a new thing, I could see a lot of people really liking it.
Yeah. One person talked about it, said they hurried in hours before the recent snowstorm because it was the last day that it was open. They said that leftover slices went home with staff, and then whole cheesecakes, furniture, fixtures, and employees themselves went to other locations. So they
that makes sense.
Didn't lose their jobs or anything.
Oh, that's good. I mean, there probably are a bunch of other locations in that area these days.
Yeah,
is what I would assume. I don't know, but
yeah, apparently there was a lot of attachment to this one in the area.
well, I can imagine. Yeah, it's the first one. It's a big deal. I mean, I like Cheesecake Factory. The last time I went, though, it took forever. The service wasn't that good. And it seems most restaurants, I guess, are like that now, where you just have to wait forever for everything. I don't. Fast food doesn't exist anymore unless you go to Chick-fil-A. Just see, like, it's the only place where fast food is actually fast. But, okay, there we go. All right, what's number 2?
Apparently, people online are leaning into, quote, turning Chinese.
What? Turning Chinese?
Yes, because...
are we going to get in trouble for this? No, but sorry, go ahead.
It said a recent meme has introduced TikTok users to Chinese wellness habits, such as drinking hot water in the morning, making apple herbal tea, drinking bone broth, and wearing house slippers.
And this is turning Chinese?
I guess so.
We couldn't call it something. Okay.
It says the introduction to Chinese culture kicked off in the few days TikTok was banned when users went to the Chinese social media app Red Note.
Oh, that's interesting. So now they're copying things. Oh, man, this is cultural appropriation, though. You know how people feel about that. I just don't know. But say again what it includes, what people are doing.
Drinking hot water in the morning. It's supposed to be like a kickstart
that sounds terrible,
to your
but all right.
digestive system. Making apple herbal tea, drinking bone broth, and wearing house slippers.
Oh, it sounds so exciting. Okay. Yay. I don't want to do any of those things. I mean, people wear slippers now. Don't they? No?
Yeah, I'm not sure why that was a particular
I don't know. Okay. All right, what's number 1?
Number 1 is Ben Stiller and Benson Boone are an unlikely duo in Instacart's Super Bowl commercial.
Oh, okay. So, gosh, did they already release this commercial?
I don't know if they've released it, but they do go into detail.
Okay, because the only reason I say that is that's like a thing now where they release it online before the Super Bowl, which is like, it ruins the experience of seeing it at the Super Bowl.
Right. Says the pair's star power shines throughout the 30-second spot that sees them with heavily accented voices, bandmates with dodgeball-worthy mustaches.
Okay. So I'm getting the bit here. All right. What is it for? It's for Instacart, though, you said.
Yes. They sing and dance to introduce the latest in-app product innovation, Preference Picker. Starting with bananas, the new tool lets customers select their preferred ripeness from not ripe, almost ripe, to ripe.
Okay. The one that I saw was Pepsi has a new commercial.
Okay.
For the Super Bowl, and it has the polar bear. And the polar bear does a taste test and is surprised when he likes Pepsi better than Coke.
That's really funny.
And then and then he goes to therapy about it. It's actually pretty funny, but it's like I would have much preferred to have seen this during the Super Bowl. They're releasing them all ahead of time, and I see it on X or something.
I remember having a class about like media and advertisement, stuff like that. And they talked about the one Oreo Super Bowl commercial where the lights went out at the stadium and they made a commercial so quickly that they did like the flip side of the Oreo as like the dark side or like
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'll have to look that up. I don't know what that is. All right, Walker, I appreciate it. Got one more segment to go here in the Yaffee program. We'll be back in just a sec.
It's the Yaffee program on WVNN.
Welcome back to the Yaffee program, News Talk 770 AM 92.5 FM WVNN. Let's see, we're kind of recapping what all the news is today. We have a government shutdown coming up. We have Trump at the premiere with Melania apparently holding hands with Nicki Minaj is a thing. We have the fact that Don Lemon was arrested. We have Tom Homan up there in Minneapolis trying to straighten things out. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, too, we still have this issue in Alabama with the High School Athletic Association. And they're wanting to split up private and public schools. In fact, let me get to the latest on that, because the reason why this story can be so frustrating, at least to me, not everyone is affected by what the Alabama High School Athletic Association does, and not everyone is interested. But the reason why I care is because it's an obvious attack on school choice, right? I mean, those in charge of the association, they don't like school choice. They don't like the education savings accounts. They don't like that parents can have options. They want their control, and they're basically out to punish kids in some way or prevent them from using the SAVE Act and using those funds. I mean, that really is the issue, isn't it? So I did see that Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth, who has been pretty big on this for a while, had commented on this recently, and he was basically saying that we shouldn't punish kids for going to private schools. We shouldn't separate things just because they have decided to go to a private school. So I know 1819 News had this story. Let me see if I can find it here. Oh, I'm doing the thing that Bugsy hates. When I'm looking for something and I say, let me see if I can find it here, it drives her crazy. She doesn't like the pause at all. But yeah, Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth did an interview recently, and he said he just doesn't think separating public school kids and private school kids as a part of this association is a really good idea. And he seems to agree with me that what this is about is punishing those who want to use school choice because they don't like the education savings account. So it's interesting that there's just like multiple different aspects of this that people are being punished on this when it comes to school choice. I think we should just expand it more. Now, it is school choice week, and I saw that Education Secretary Linda McMahon had commented on that as well and said Alabama is leading the way. It's kind of funny to think about that because when I first got to Alabama, it seemed like it was never going to happen. And all of a sudden, there was just a big push to change that. There was a lot of opposition to it initially, as you might remember. And I was one who really, really pushed it. So Alabama Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth called the Alabama High School Athletic Association split boneheaded and punitive. He said, I'm confident that the executive director and the governing board will be remembered for extinguishing the flame of competitiveness and abandoning any effort at simple fairness and good sportsmanship under their watch. He said, rather than allowing Choose Act students to retain their eligibility, as the law requires, the association have opted instead to segregate our public and private schools, which is punitive, wrong, and just plain hateful. He said the coaches participating in this boneheaded decision care only about winning championships, not about high school athletics they are supposed to serve. The lessons about sportsmanship there are supposed to teach, and the simple respect and dignity that students and their parents deserve. Now, earlier this month, a bill was introduced in the Alabama Senate, which Ainsworth oversees, that would bar public schools from belonging to an athletic association that doesn't have at least 50% of its board made up by officials selected by various state government leaders. We had talked with Donnie Chasteen, who is in the legislature, the one really pushing that. He says it's on hold for a while. He's having a conversation with them. But this will definitely become a part of the conversation. But usually what I say to all the public schools that are worried about this, and I still see public school teachers complain about it, those on the school board complain about it, those in the Democrat Party complain about school choice, columnists for AL.com that complain about school choice. What I usually see, or what I usually want to say to them is just, well, public schools just need to do better. The fact is, we've seen an increased demand for the education savings account funds. We've seen a demand in Alabama to expand the school choice program. We've seen a demand where a lot of parents want to take their kids out of public school and put them in a private school. The question they should be asking themselves is why? Why do they want to leave the public school in the first place? Why are they interested in going to the private school? And they don't want to ask themselves that question. They don't want to do any self-reflection. They don't want to maybe admit that they've caused issues. Instead of fixing the issues in public school, they just want to pretend it doesn't exist. And then when they get some competition, they want to complain that it's all the fault of the legislators and private schools. But maybe you should come to the conclusion, look in the mirror and say, there probably is a demand to leave public schools, many of these public schools, not all. There are great public schools all across Alabama, and some of those schools will continue to do well, and they'll continue to have students because parents want their kids in the best school, and that's totally fine. But outside of that, just ask, if you're in one of these public schools and you're losing students to private schools, ask yourself why. Why is there such a demand? Because the demand exists for a reason. Parents aren't just choosing this because they have no other choice. No, they have more choices now. So why? Now, some people will come up with some dumb reasons. They'll blame not enough funding. That's usually the excuse, all of that stuff. No, the fact is the public schools went too far, not only in not focusing on real academics, but trying to indoctrinate kids in a lot of woke nonsense. They don't feel their kids are safe in public schools either, so private schools are doing a better job. If that's what's best for the students, we should be happy with that. And if you're upset about that, public schools do better.
You're listening to Yaffee on WVNN.
Get ready for The Rush with Max Crosby.
It's time.
Your all-access pass into the heart of the NFL.
This is the National Football League, and they don't play around. You got to be smart.
All-pro defensive end Max Crosby takes you beyond the field with exclusive insights.
I could say this because I've played them.
This is The Rush.
You guys already know what time it is. It was fire. And we'll be right back on the pod, and we'll be talking about it next week.
The Rush with Max Crosby. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.